Hello friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I've had a few requests to look at this book, so today I'm sharing the life lessons from The Richest Man in Babylon, The Success Secrets of the Ancients, the most inspiring book on wealth ever written by George S. Clason. For those new to my YouTube channel, my name is Adelaide. I'm an avid reader and I enjoy sharing the life lessons that I get from books. If you enjoy my book review today, do subscribe to my channel so that you stay tuned to more of my book reviews and my recommendations. This book has been around for ages as it was authored in 1926. So it is one of those ageless and timeless references for personal finance. It is that book that you can get 100 wise quotes from because it is so full of wisdom, despite its medieval English, which I'm not a fan of. If you have not read this book, I would urge you to buy it and read it. You would be glad that you did. Because of the amount of wisdom in this book, I've decided that I'm going to divide my book review into two parts. So part one that I'll run in this video is going to cover general wealth lessons. And part two that I'll cover in the next video will look at lessons on wealth acquisition and accumulation. So this is exciting stuff, and let's get right into it. To begin with, who was George S. Clason? So online publications that I've looked at say George Clason was an author, an American author in the 1900s, and he ran two businesses as well. I think one of them was a map company and the other one was a publishing company. So he started writing parables of how to be wise with money and how to accumulate wealth and manage it. And his parables were well recognized by financial institutions of that time, such that they started sharing them around. And the most famous of them were then compiled into this book. This man was an entrepreneur, a successful one, and his financial wisdom was appreciated by banks and insurance companies of that time. So he must have really known his stuff. He even got known for coining the term pay yourself first, which you would get to know and familiarize yourself if you were to read this book, Pay Yourself First. And so because he was a successful entrepreneur, and his knowledge started being used by financial institutions to the extent that he probably did some marketing for them, I think he knew his stuff. And so it's definitely worthwhile that he would have written a book like this that is ageless, that will probably outlive most of us. So why Babylon as a setting for ancient financial secrets parables? So historians say that Babylon was part of modern day Iraq, and that it was one of the major two empires of Babylonia at that time. One of the rulers turned it into one of the richest, powerful, and influential cities. And yet it was all from man-made developments, because it was an arid, dry valley with no forest or mines. So they employed good engineering and good construction and turned this dry land into one of the richest cities. It is a perfect setting, being a rich country with rich citizens. The main character in this book is called Akkad. That's the famous richest man of Babylon. So the book says he began his life in humble beginnings. He wasn't wealthy at all, but he learned the lessons of accumulating wealth over time. And so the parable is about Akkad sharing with his fellow citizens that are curious and asking him questions how he managed to get to the wealth that he actually had and to enjoy it when a few of them may not have got to that position yet. Let's get right into it today as we cover 5 general wealth lessons that I'm going to look at that were given by Akkad in this book. So the first general wealth lesson is the prosperity of a nation depends upon the personal financial prosperity of its individual citizens. I love this lesson. It's actually the very first statement in the foreword of this book. So this book starts on a high in terms of financial wisdom nuggets already right from the statement number 1. If any of our nations, any of our countries are actually going to succeed, it is because we as individuals, as citizens, are actually prospering on an individual level with our families. In the modern day context, when a family or individuals or citizens are prospering, they buy themselves land, they acquire property, they send their children to school, they look at helping fellow citizens in charities, and they are productive. This is actually the base for building a successful nation. So it starts right at the grassroots level. When you've got healthy, successful, and happy people and their families, then you find that they're more productive for the country at large. The second lesson is that wealth is power. With wealth, many things are possible. So wealth is generally the acquisition and possession of property, of investments that are lucrative, like stocks and bonds. It is really the possession of good health. Then you know that you've got wealth. And when you have these possessions, you find that people have a voice. Even the people in authority listen to them, they give them space. Look at our celebrities, the amount of influence that they've got in our lives and in our governments just because of their social status and their possessions and their wealth. And Akkad was acknowledging and advising his fellows that even before he had acquired his wealth, he had noticed that with wealth, you have so much influence. Many things can actually happen for you. With wealth, you can be taken seriously. It only takes you as well looking at people that are poor or nations that are poor in this world, and just look how much influence they've got. Even when they're sitting on the same table, making big decisions and creating policies around the world, their influence is very limited. But had they been wealthy, it would have been a whole different story. Once you've got wealth, the world puts you in a position where your voice is heard. Lesson number 3 from Akkad is, as for time, all men have it in abundance. Every one of us has got 24 hours in a day. While that time seems like it's in abundance, a lot of it is actually wasted. And Akkad says he used his time to acquire knowledge and skills that actually built him wealth. In the modern times, there's a lot of time wastage in our day-to-day living. You could be scrolling down for hours on your phone or watching endless and mindless TV. You could be scrolling on your timeline. You could be watching useless videos. It's literally anything that you could be spending time on. Meanwhile, all the tasks that you should be looking at that get you to the next level of your goals are actually waiting untouched. While we acknowledge that we need to work hard and then play hard, there can be an imbalance sometimes and we are unaware of it because it's just but part of the life we live. If you're finding it hard to achieve any tasks, list them down and cross them out each time that you achieve them. Then you can see how much of your time you're actually using time wisely. The fourth lesson from the book is, opportunity is an arrogant goddess who wastes no time with those who are unprepared. As long as you're putting energy and work and effort, consistency, persistence, all those buzzwords we hear that represent hard work and putting yourself out there to say you are available, then opportunity will follow you. And Akkad started describing this lesson to his fellow citizens that were around him, learning from him, because they had asked him about luck. And we all know that luck follows opportunity. These men felt that there were some people who are luckier than others. Like you often hear people say, oh, he is lucky, oh, she is lucky, oh, they are lucky. But perhaps we are not looking at how much effort they've made all along when we may not have been watching, when they were not known, until it looked like opportunity and luck just falls onto them. And most of the times it does not happen that way. Opportunities can come in the form of a new project, a new client, a new job, a new skill, anything literally that can just open up new doors for you. And if you have been prepared because you've been putting in the work, you've acquired skills, you've acquired the knowledge, or you've been doing the internship, even if it may be for no pay, you will eventually get that job that actually pays you for all your free work that you've given before to just prove yourself. So there are many ways in which, no matter what stage you are in life, you can start to prepare for opportunity. That luck that is perceived by many. And if you've been wasting your time, and if you've been hesitant, if you've not been putting the effort, then you may start to think that you are unlucky, that opportunity does not follow you, but you need to put in the work. And then the last lesson is, every man must master his own spirit of procrastination before he can expect to share in the rich treasures of Babylon. Doesn't procrastination just haunt a lot of us? Procrastination was already a problem at that time. You know, it takes looking at your mindset to conquer procrastination, which is just putting off your task to next time, to tomorrow, and forgetting that the time we're actually fully in control of is now. We have no idea what actually happens in the next second. So you might as well do the work that you need to do Now, if you look at any task as if it's huge and it's so much effort, then you're probably not going to get to it. You're going to probably put it off a few days, a few months until you start it. But if you actually think that it's easy, or you break it down into smaller, manageable and conquerable tasks, then you find that you will get to it and you will do it. If you also think that it's something not important and it's easy to put off, you're obviously going to put it off. But when you start to feel bad about putting things off, then you start working on them. So it's all really a matter of perspective. Once you deal with that in yourself, then you can start to tackle your tasks readily and immediately, and you can start to live a life of progress and achieve the success that you're looking for, that can be achieved by people like Akkad. Be honest with yourself. Look at why you put things off. What is it that makes you do that? If you're afraid of big tasks, break them into smaller ones. If you just look at everything without seriousness and think, oh yeah, I can always do tomorrow, just remember that tomorrow is not given us. What we have is our time now. And so this is the last lesson that Akkad gives to his fellow men who were curious and waiting, asking questions, sitting around him and expecting answers. They probably expected some magical answers, that Akkad would have accumulated his wealth through some surprisingly easy and magical way. But I think what he has given in these 5 general wealth lessons is that you do have to own your path to success, and you do have to put in the work and grab the opportunities that are out there so that actually luck follows you. So these are the general wealth lessons that I learned from Akkad, a very wise man indeed, and that explains why he's wealthy. Let me know your thoughts and comments about these lessons in the comment section below, and I hope that you have enjoyed these lessons. As I have said, this is only but part 1 of the lessons that I got from The Richest Man in Babylon. So there is part 2 that you can find here. I think it's here or here, based on where the link will appear, where I will start looking at the crux of the matter in acquiring and accumulating wealth. The 7 cures for a lean purse, which is really just an ancient language for poverty, really. The average person that I know has read this book. If you have not read this book, I advise you to actually get it for yourself and read it, as I said earlier. So thank you for watching. Catch you in part 2 of this series, and cheers for now.